Hello and good afternoon from a sunny park in Songdo on Sunday, June 11th. I spent like 20 minutes trying to find a quiet place in this park to sit and talk, and there's not one apparently, so I'm just gonna walk and talk. But yeah, today I kind of have just kind of a casual sit down and chat kind of a video planned, but first I'm going to run some errands. I want to go to the bookstore and then also the little fruit mart that is in my neighborhood to get a new book and some fruit. So that is the plan. I will take you guys with me as I go shopping, and then I will talk to you again when I get back to my apartment.
Being still if things are well. What facts belong is hard to say. The pattern is so hard to tell. But we're together, that's our game. Round and round and round we go. The dance ain't over, I'm sure we're still the same. Love the ways you make us whole. Would you say if things ain't right? Look away, look away. What's really going on? What's really going on? Would you tell me, can't you say? What's really going on? What's really going on? Down the bottom in the hole. There's no sane ways, there's no explanations. I've got things I tend to moan. In these times, just please be patient. Be my shore, you be my home. Drag us out and build us up again. Put things right and let me go. No way of knowing if there's still time. Look away, look away. What's really going on? What's really going on? Would you tell me, can't you say? What's really going on? What's really going on?
All right, so just got back from my little errands running session. It was Sunday, and so it was super crowded everywhere because everyone was out with their families shopping and walking through the parks and stuff, and so it was just kind of more bustling and busy than I had expected it to be, but it was fine. I ended up getting both of my goals accomplished. I got this beautiful novel from the bookstore, and I ended up getting, like you guys saw, golden kiwis from the little fruit stand, which I just finished off one of them, and it was very delicious, even though I have a few canker sores right now, and so it's kind of stinging, but it was delicious nonetheless. And now I figured I'd sit down and kind of just have a little chit chat about my life right now, some updates as far as like language learning and just general life stuff. Starting out with some life stuff, this past week was the end of my spring semester, so I'm now officially on vacation for a grand total of 9 days, and then summer semester will start up. Yeah, as far as languages go, I'm trying to use this week to kind of get back into learning multiple languages, because for the past couple months I've been primarily focused on Saturday Reader, kind of to the detriment of all the other language things in my life. Almost 2 months ago is when I bought the Saturday Reader app, which again is that like Japanese reading app that has like the built-in dictionary and SRS system. And because I only got it for the limited amount of time, I had determined that I wanted to use it every single day for that period as kind of a challenge for myself. And I didn't really think I would accomplish that, but so far it's been almost 2 months and I have studied literally every single day on that app, which is honestly very impressive to me because I'm not very consistent, as I always say. But I have proven that I'm capable of it apparently, and so I'm hoping to continue, keep on keeping on with that and continue to be very consistent there, hopefully for the remainder of my subscription. But because of that, like I tend to only do that one activity most days, and so I kind of have stopped using Do Chinese for the most part. I've used it here and there a little bit for the past like 3 or 4 weeks. Ever since the 40-hour 7-day language challenge, I haven't touched it at all. And same for Korean, I haven't done any Korean since the challenge, I believe, which was the first week of May. So it's been over a month now since I've done like almost any Korean or Mandarin. I think I've watched a little bit of Mandarin TV shows, but even that has been not much for the past month. So I really want to use this week off to kind of not only decompress from the semester and start planning for the next one, which I will have to do, but I do want to kind of get back into my old habits as well. Not, kill off Saturday Reader. I still want to do that every single day, but I do want to add back in the habit of doing the Chinese and the habit of doing some Korean activities like reading, which is one of the reasons I ended up getting this book. It's actually a different book than I was planning on getting. I was planning on getting Almond, which is like a Korean young adult novel that was best-selling. I've heard of it a lot, and I thought, okay, it'll be a nice, easy novel that I've heard is good. But then I was just like browsing around the store and didn't just naturally run into it. I could have looked up on the app like where its location in my store was, but I didn't feel like doing that, and so I was just wandering around and stumbled upon a like best-selling table, and I saw this book, which I have also heard of. This is like a best-selling adult novel. I think it's a novel. I actually don't even know what genre it is or anything about it. I didn't even really read the full back. I read like the very first sentence and I was like, okay, sure. Because I have heard of it before and I know it's best-selling and I really like the cover. Like it's so pretty. And so I'm hoping it's a good book since it is a bestseller and it is pretty. And so I'm hoping to, again, use this as a way to kickstart my motivation to get back into Korean and pick up those flailing goals that I set, like the goal to read a Korean novel per month that I have not done in several months now. I'm hoping that I can get back in the groove of that and stuff. And then also next week is Jo Renee's next kind of community language challenge that she's putting together, which is like focusing on some media thing for the week and like doing what you want around whatever piece of media that you want, but like, you know, kind of focusing on that. And so I decided to kind of go broad for my media and just do Korean news in general because that is also one of my goals and I tend to not do it very much, but it is one of my weaknesses, like formal vocabulary, politics, social events, that kind of stuff. I'm not great at like discussing or understanding, and so I could improve that area of my Korean. And so I've decided to do that next week, and so that'll also help kickstart me back into the Korean groove. And also this past week, a very exciting social update is that I did a social activity, which for me is newsworthy. It's actually kind of pathetic that it's taken me until June when I got here last August to do any sort of social activity. Isn't that sad? I have done like a few things like with colleagues of mine, which we get along well as colleagues and like I enjoy our dinners that we have sometimes, but they're like friendly colleagues. They're not like my close friends, if that makes sense. And so I get along with them and I enjoy our like time together, but I'm not like, woohoo, I need to hang out with them on the weekend, that kind of a vibe for the most part. And so I do want to like actually develop a social circle outside of just colleagues and my students. And so I finally, you know, what is this, 9 months in, I'm finally doing that. And so I found a place called Culture Complex, which is a like language exchange cafe, I guess you could call it. And there's a couple different chains around Korea, and there's two that are kind of close to me. One in Ansan, which is like a little over an hour away. And I do have a friend in Ansan, so I considered actually going there and trying to drag that friend along, but I didn't think they'd be interested. And so I decided to go to the one that's closer to me, which is in Bupyeong, which is like 50 minutes away. Honestly, it's almost an hour away anyway, once you factor in like walking and finding it. But anyway, I went there last Wednesday. What it is basically is, from what I could tell online, is like you can do language exchanges like one-on-one. And they also have like these group meetups for practicing English for the Korean people who attend there. And so I went there at 6 o'clock because I thought there was like an official level test at 6 o'clock, but it was more of like a casual, just come in and talk to the owner and like he'll set you up with the language exchange partner kind of a thing. And it sounds like the language exchange is basically kind of up to the partners. Like we can do whatever we want once I find a partner. And so I'm very looking forward to that and like being able to focus on my particular weaknesses, like discussing topics in depth and not, you know, hemming and hawing and hesitating so much. I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to get a partner and hopefully jive well with them and really work on my Korean and also just making friends as well, because I did end up hanging around and waiting until their group study meeting that night, which was actually at 8 p.m. I thought it was gonna be at 6:30, which is why I went there at 6. But it was at 8, and so I ended up hanging out, just working on making finals actually for my students in the cafe. I did see like a group of friends who were there like the whole time I was there basically, and they were like playing board games and having fun in Korean, and I was like, oh, should I go over there and like ask to join in Korean and like get some practice? But I was so socially anxious that I could not bring myself to go and like butt in on their group. Like, first of all, it's kind of weird if you have like friends with you for someone to like just ask to join, but it is like also a language exchange cafe, so like I figured they're there to learn English and I'm there to learn Korean. Like, it'd probably be fine if I did, but I was way too anxious to actually do it. In any ways, I had so much work to work on that it was better for me that I did my work. I did end up hanging out there until 8 o'clock. And then I was really surprised because there was like those 5 people who were like playing games. And then at 8, like it went from like 5 people to 30, like all of a sudden it was like full. A couple of foreigners like me, mostly from the ones I interacted with, they were all English teachers, not professors like me, but like teaching at public schools basically. And then a lot of Koreans who were there to do English. And this was like a 2-hour just like group conversation about whatever. We just had like basically a conversation. We didn't have any of like the guiding topics that apparently you can also have. Again, first time, I don't really know what they have to offer, but even though I knew it was going to be all in English and one of my goals is to speak more Korean, I decided to hang around so I could actually like meet some people, which I did, and that was really good. I was very happy that I did it and that I had finally got out and tried to socialize for once. And I have determined that I want to go back, not only to do the one-on-one language exchange, but also to occasionally join these English group study sessions just because I want to get to know some of the people there. And theoretically, if I get to, be friends with some of the Koreans there, I could go there and hang out and talk Korean to them as well. And so that was very exciting. There was kind of one weird guy in the mix. Like he was like an older Korean gentleman and he just had some weird things to add to the conversation. Some of them were just like inaccurate. Like he was saying there was like some exhibit at Everland, which is like an amusement park. And he was saying you could like touch a dead body as an exhibit. And all of us were like, I'm not sure that's true. And he was like, no, it's there. And then later I tried to Google it and I could not find anything about a dead body exhibit at Everland, which makes sense. That's a weird thing for an amusement park to like sanction. Then he was also talking about how like it's fine to cheat on your wife as long as they don't find out, which is a weird thing to like just discuss openly with strangers. Is it not? Am I crazy? And then finally I like mentioned the Korean urban legend of like fan death, which is this thing that a lot of Koreans used to believe, so I thought, where if you like have a fan running at night in your room, you'll die from like suffocating, which to me is like such a weird belief. But I mentioned it used to be an urban legend and everyone was like, oh yeah, I've heard of that. And then the old guy keeps talking about it like it's real. And I realized he still believes it. It's not a legend to him. And so I was actually kind of surprised. I thought it was like this really old urban legend, but apparently it was still around until like the 2010s. And apparently for this guy, it's still around. And so I tried to like reason with him about like how fans work, because he was saying like apparently they were saying how the urban legend came from, they believe like a fan will suck the oxygen out of a room. And I was trying to like reason with him like, if you think about it, it's just moving the air. The air was still, now it's moving. It's not taking away any oxygen. Like, how would that even work? He kept saying things like, well, as long as it's far away from your face, it's probably fine. I was like, whatever, I give up trying to explain physics to this man. Not even physics, just like basic common sense. But I can see also how if you've been like told this urban legend all your life and like the news used to report on people like dying with a fan on. And so I can see how if you like grown up hearing that all the time, it'd be hard to like suddenly just be like, oh, that's stupid. And so I can understand why it's hard for him to accept, but at the same time I was like, just think about it. But yeah, aside from that one kind of weird guy, everyone else was super, super friendly and I got along well with them. They tended to be like in their 30s-ish, like a lot of company workers, at least in my group, plus all of the foreigners, we were all in our 20s and all English teachers. And so anyway, I got along with them pretty well, except for the random, interesting guy. And so I'm hoping that as I go back a few more times, I will get to know some of them a little bit better and hopefully like make actual friends there. Because, for the past 8 or 9 months or whatever that I have not been socially active in my community, I have still been like enjoying my life and getting social fulfillment through like the small social interactions in my life. Like teaching, for example, I was basically like 5 straight hours of interacting with people. And so I would go home and feel like socially fulfilled for the day. But there's a difference in like work socializing and like friend socializing, which like, duh, I'm sure everyone knows that already. But since I've been like not literally alone for the past 9 months, I've been like able to push off that feeling of needing social stimulation. But as I was like listening to these people at the table talk about how like between the people at the group, they've made friends and like, oh, we went last summer to this place and we just went over here to this place and traveled. And I was like, oh yeah, this is what it's like to like have friends and do things together. Like I need that in my life, obviously. I just keep putting it off because I'm such an introvert and don't feel like going outside on any given day. But I am glad that I have finally, gone outside. I'm ironically wearing this t-shirt today. But I'm glad that I have made that move finally to try and be more socially active, and hopefully I can continue to do more social things in my life and not just put them off eternally into the future. But that's my exciting little social update. So hopefully through doing that, through getting hopefully a language exchange partner through there, I will also get a lot more like Korean speaking back into my life, because I have not been speaking almost any Korean at all while living here, except for like the very basic transactional things, just because again, I'm only socializing through work, which is all in English. And so I feel like my social skills are actually like decreasing, which is weird living in Korea, but I need to like get out more and actually speak Korean in order for my speaking skills to improve. So hopefully through continuing to go to this culture complex cafe thing, I can socialize more in Korean and speak more Korean as well, not only make friends and expand my social circle. So yeah, that's how my life is going these days, both in like language learning and just general life stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this casual chit-chatty update, and I will see you guys again in the next video. 안녕.